this stinks. It stinks to me of corruption.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. But I think also that Trump is quite right because when he said, I don't want to send him away because he's got a terrible wife, I think he was trying to save the king and William because they don't want the stress of having him back because he would be incredibly bad tempered and unpleasant to be with. But he then realized that that was not the way to behave. And he very rarely changes his mind. But pleased to say that he did, and that he will be there if Harry has lied.
Breaking right now. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in major trouble in the US, now facing an investigation into their donations to the Democratic Party as, wait for it, Donald Trump, the new president, who thinks Meghan is terrible, reverses his previous comments that he would not deport Prince Harry. So let's go through both of these stories now. First, the revelation in the New York Post. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are paying big bucks to Democratic operatives via their charity, sparking calls for a congressional investigation. So they report that the Archewell Foundation, the Californian-based nonprofit started by Harry and Meghan in 2020, doled out $146,000 to Geoffrey Craig, an independent media strategist who has been called the Democrats' go-to for countering disinformation. They have funneled hundreds of thousands of dollars to controversial political operatives through their charity, according to documents reviewed by the Post. They've also been spending big on high-level Democrat Party-aligned sources, according to public records, including hiring a disinformation expert who worked at a company involved in every high-profile US election since the 90s. The New York Post reports that the move could further widen the divide between Harry and his family after Prince William recently met with Donald Trump. King Charles also said to have maintained a good relationship with Donald Trump. So let me bring in Prince Harry's biographer, Angela Levin now. Angela, this revelation is hugely significant because if Archewell is a charity, then what on earth is it doing, funneling all of this money to Democratic operatives? To me, it looks as if it is attempting to buy political influence. And you could argue that may have been why the Biden administration never looked into the real reason why Harry had, I believe, although let's wait to see the proof, but I believe had told Big Porcupines on his immigration documents in regards to illegal drug use. This just stinks. They have been exposed. Surely there must be a congressional investigation into this.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrible, isn't it? It's yet another of their things where they break all the rules, do exactly what they want, like spoilt children, and won't take any notice. Now, Harry is still a member of the royal family. I mean, we can put Meghan to one side, but he's born that way and he is that way. And he should know that he can't support anything like that. It's absolutely not on. And actually, the Americans don't want him to do it. But can you imagine? There was £624,000 given to some democratic linked cause and 198,000 to Ashley, Biden's daughter. You can't do that because you are actually planning to help them win. I mean, do you remember Meghan at one point? She was going around phoning people and sending them notes that they had to vote for Biden, and they got a real telling off. So she stopped it, but she won't stop for long, as we've seen for a multitude of things, that she will just do it until she's got what she wanted. But something has to be done. You can't let somebody do that when they come from a different background. They have no rights. They're not in charge of anything. And to sort of sneak the money so that they will like you and perhaps, Meghan thinks, even make her a president in the future. I mean, it's really sort of treading in the night, isn't it, in mud. And so
It
because
is.
you want to actually
These
get what
two
you
are
want.
so dirty. There's no actual charity going on, Angela. We know they only work an hour a week for the Invictus. Sorry, not for the Invictus, for the Archewell Foundation. We know they've raised hardly any money, and all of the money they do raise is going to Democrats. Now, this is how they responded, by the way. It is worth actually reading this out in full, not just to provide balance, but also to understand just how delusional and politicized, and I would also argue insincere, Harry and Meghan are. So they've said in response to the Heritage Foundation's unsubstantiated claims, it is important to note that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex did not endorse any candidate in the recent election. And to suggest they're trying to curry favour with the Democratic Party simply because a donation went to Ashley Biden's non-partisan non-profit focused on women's mental health, or because they hired a consultant specialising in digital safety, is misguided at best. While the Heritage Foundation may use its non-profit status to mask political agendas, the Duke and Duchess are committed to investing in people and initiatives that truly make a difference. Now, Angela, what they've left out there is that they very clearly endorsed a candidate in 2020, and the only reason they didn't endorse a candidate in 2024 is because the Democratic Party didn't want them. Their endorsement had become toxic.
Yeah, absolutely right. But the only good thing about it is that Neil Gardiner, who we both know.
Amazing guy. He's the Heritage Foundation guy behind all of this.
But he's very, very determined. I mean, I think he's even more determined than Meghan, and he's going to get the better of it, I'm quite sure. He's demanded that that all the money and the way that it was dealt with is shown, because he says he thinks it's absolutely disgusting. And especially as Harry is a royal, and that it's absolutely appalling to do that. And he's also, I mean, the judge, do you know that the judge has said that he wants all Harry's documents out on the 20th of February? Did you know that? I think that's just been announced. And so we're able to see a lot more of what's going on. But why do control everything, demand control, and it's sort of there's a fire behind her, isn't there? But I think that Niall is a very determined man, and he will sort it out. And I think he feels very strongly that Harry should not retain his title if this is the way he behaves with their money.
Well, indeed, and Niall Gardiner, who has been doing great work on this, got some very positive news overnight, Angela. This from the Mail on Sunday in the UK. Here's the headline. Now Trump says he would back legal action if Prince Harry lied on his US visa application about drug use. As insiders warn, he should be very worried indeed. Let me just take you through this report. Caroline Graham, who is based in the US for the Mail, writes, Donald Trump remains committed to Prince Harry facing a criminal prosecution if he is found to have lied about his drugs use in his visa application, the Mail on Sunday has learned. The US president said last week he would not deport the Duke of Sussex, claiming he had punishment enough with his terrible wife. But, and here's the key point, sources close to Mr. Trump say he has vowed transparency and will back legal action. Anyone lying about drug use on a US visa application faces up to 5 years in jail, a fine, or deportation. And here's what the source told the Mail on Sunday. President Trump has made it very clear that if Harry is found to have not told the truth on his visa application, then he could face prosecution. If Harry answered the drugs question truthfully, that would have triggered a visa waiver process whereby he would have been interviewed and given a waiver. If that is the case, the public has a right to know. President Trump has said he won't deport Harry, but there is no doubt he would support a prosecution. What is interesting is the judge admitted holding a secret meeting with lawyers for the government without telling lawyers representing Heritage. That is highly unusual, if not unprecedented. It's highly pertinent the judge has admitted Heritage has a right to see the non-public documents, and then the source warned that Harry is far from off the hook, adding the word in Washington is he should be very worried indeed. So Angela Levin, actually, this has just ratcheted up a notch, because now Prince Harry could be facing a criminal prosecution.
Yes. And you have to say that Biden was appalling that he didn't notice that or know it. That's absolutely wrong. And I think it's absolutely right.
But maybe he did, Angela. But maybe he did, because this is where the two stories are linked. Because why are Harry and Meghan giving all of that money to Joe Biden's daughter? This stinks. It stinks to me of corruption.
Yes, I agree with you. But I think also that Trump is quite right, because when he said, I don't want to send him away because he's got a terrible wife, I think he was trying to save the king and William, because they don't want the stress of having him back, because he would be incredibly bad-tempered and unpleasant to be with. But he then realized that that was not the way to behave, and he very rarely changes his mind. But I'm pleased to say that he did, and that he will be there if Harry has lied. We don't know whether he has. It would seem so, but we don't know yet. Then he will have to suffer from it. But of course, if we think about Meghan, she'll be fine. She'll just carry on with all her jam and honey, and maybe she'll be pleased that she's out of the problem.
The reason you're watching this show is because you know that these days, and we've been discussing it lots at the moment, it's impossible to trust the mainstream media or the so-called fact checkers who claim to patrol social media. And that's for a very good reason, given the Brexit debate, COVID debacle, and demonization of Donald Trump. But I've got the solution for you. Today's sponsor, Ground News, created by a former NASA engineer to provide you with the only safe way to consume the headlines, is going to solve so many of these issues. Go to ground.news/outspoken to check it out for yourself, by the way. But I want to show you this incredible website and app in action. So let's take the recent story. We've discussed it lots of Outspoken, of Elon Musk's fallout with Nigel Farage over Tommy Robinson, which the left-wing legacy media tried to whip up to destroy all three men, actually. And by looking at Ground News, you can see very clearly that it's collated the 230 sources on this story in one place. But what Ground News instantly shows is how the story is being covered by the media and broken down by whether those media organizations lean to the left or right, illustrated by its biased distribution service, which features on all stories. Then you can scroll down and actually see every article about the topic broken down by the political position or ownership of the publication. So in this case, it shows quite clearly that Fox News gave a fair analysis compared to Mediaite and The Independent, which did not, lambasting the men as morons with big egos without actually looking into why this split happened and how it can be resolved. What's more, Ground News gets to know you personally, providing you with the news stories you're interested in, while also analysing your own biases and coming up with potential blind spots you might not be hearing about because of your media consumption. And look, I know you love the news, that's why you're watching Outspoken, but you don't trust the legacy media. But what Ground News does is give you the tools to understand the truth about what is going on in the world. It is the only way I read the news now, allowing you to see through media bias and manipulative narratives with no more relying on the MSM to define what's really going on for you. So go to ground.news/outspoken to check it out. You can subscribe through my link today for 40% off the Vantage plan, which is what I use for unlimited access. And I should say, by the way, Ground News is a really great organization. It is subscriber funded, and by supporting my sponsors like Ground News, you also support my work too. And for less than a Netflix subscription, you can get all the world's news in one place and think for yourself. It really has been a game changer for a news junkie like me. So let me just repeat the address. It is linked in the show notes below, or you can click on the QR code if you're watching on screen. But the address, ground.news/outspoken. But now, back to the show. Now, Niall Gardner has actually posted on this, Angela, why does it matter that Prince Harry should be held to account and that his immigration records be released to the American people? because no one is above the law. And the
Yeah.
United States is a nation of laws where it should make no difference whether one is a prince or not.
He's been very, very strong on this. He's kept on saying that until it goes right through us, that it doesn't matter whether you're a prince or not. You have to keep the rules, and that's it. You're not going to get special treatment. He said that once to me when we met a few months ago, and he said, I will not let him have special treatment. Why should he? He's not even a member of the royal family now, as he was. So it's just not going to happen. And he's put such a lot of energy and determination into that. And when you read that, it doesn't matter whether it's a prince or not, you click and think, yes, that's absolutely right. Why should they? Why should he?
Now, Meghan Markle also in a real jam, Angela, not just Harry in trouble, because the Mail has been investigating, as I know you have for some time, what on earth is going on with Meghan's products, specifically her jam. Now, the Mail has done a lot of work on this. They've even spoken to industrial jam producers in the Montecito area who say there's no way that she's slaving for hours over a hot stove stirring steaming strawberries. And I doubt she's setting up an industrial kitchen in her home. And as a result, the Mail reports barely 2 weeks before the series begins streaming, it remains unclear where Meghan will be sourcing her fruit, who will be packaging her products, and if a single jar of jam has yet been bottled. However, sources have claimed that items from her new product line will be tastefully inserted into the 8-part series. So what is going on, Angela? Because the Mail on Sunday actually spoke to all the jam producers, fruit farmers, industrial food plants within 100 miles of her home in Montecito, and none know a single thing about Meghan's so-called product.
Yes, it's a big question mark, isn't it? I'm sure it won't happen now. They'll have to put it back a bit because she hasn't got the right yet, has she, to use the name? And also, it just, you can't have a load of stuff that you want to sell without having more in the cupboard. You can't just bring out a few things as she did last time because they get stale, don't they? I mean, I hope that she doesn't use the same jars because people will think, oh no, not this. How long has this been in the cupboard? Is it all right? Has it got all full of, goodness knows what? But it's just extraordinary that there's nothing there. It's certainly not coming from her garden. The first lot, she said, came from her garden, the strawberries and the raspberries. But there's no way that you can actually get shelves full in a couple of weeks when nobody knows anything about it, unless it comes in from a different country and they'd wanted to keep it quiet. I've not found that out, but it's otherwise a ridiculous state of affairs, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. I mean, Angela, you've been looking very closely, though, at how Meghan has been behaving, specifically on social media, over the past 2 weeks. And you believe she is regressing back to her TIG days where everything is about her. What's your take on this?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, she's sort of gone backwards because she seems to have grasped Instagram, as a sort of so wonderful to have it in our hands again. And what she's doing, she wants to be an influencer.
Influencer, yeah.
Influencer, yes. And she will work very, very hard so everybody will follow her. And that's what she did with the TIG, although not so many people knew her. But that's what she wants to do now. But for goodness sake, that's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? But that's what she wants. And she wants to show everybody what she likes so they're up to date with her. Everybody's going to be up to date with her several times a day. But it does say that the lovey-dovey stuff that we've seen is absolute nonsense. And the way that she's handled her children is also absolute nonsense because it's all about building her TIG again, but just in a few years later. She didn't want to lose it, but she had to, and she joined the royal family. And now she's gone back and woohoo, I'm in charge and I'm going to do everything that I want. It's all going to be about me. And every now and then, Harry is just going to pop in and pop out again, because that's what he's doing with one of her food things. He's going to be on for about a minute in the last eighth installment. So he'll be just there, for nothing. And she'll have this world that she wants forever. And she'll get a load of things free, as she did in the TIG, champagne, drink, clothes. Everybody hopes everybody will
loves a freebie. We know that from her time in the royal family. No one loves a freebie more than Ms. Meghan Markle. That is for certain.
But how can you love somebody? How can you love someone if you know this is going to upset them hugely again and again and again and again? I mean, it doesn't make any sort of sense, does it?
No.
All the kissing in the world doesn't make the sense if what you do is not the right thing. We've also got Diana, haven't we? That we've just in,
well, yeah,
this
is this extraordinary new revelation from Tom Quinn's new book, Yes, Ma'am. And it's been leaked to the Daily Mail, which headlines the story, Meghan Markle wanted to finish what Princess Diana started, but on a part-time basis, and hated staying at Nottingham College. So what Tom Quinn has done is speak to the servants who were working for Harry and Meghan during their time in the royal family. I actually hate that word servants. He uses it. I'd probably say courtiers, but there you go. And he reports, a former member of staff to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex has claimed that Meghan Markle insisted she would finish what Princess Diana started, but on a part-time basis when she first joined the royal family. Speaking anonymously to Yes, Ma'am, The Secret Life of Royal Servants by Tom Quinn, an insider offered insight into what the former actress's plans were for becoming a working royal. And this servant said, she said once, what Diana started, I want to finish. And we took that to mean she wanted to become a sort of globe-trotting champion of the poor and the marginalised. They prefaced it by saying they didn't mean it in a critical way. However, they added that it would only be a part-time commitment. And they said she has managed to do this to some extent, but she really wanted to do it as a princess and with the full backing of the royal family, but on a part-time basis. I mean, she's delusional, but I absolutely do believe, Angela, that she was trying to ape Princess Diana. She thought she could do it within the royal family while continuing to make her own money. And she definitely has an obsession with Diana. We can see that all the time. She's purposefully attempting to copy Diana's outfits, for example.
Well, that's to keep Harry happy. There's the perfume and the clothes to keep him knowing it. But one big lie is that, you said that she hated being in Nottingham House, and that's not true, because she said that she absolutely loved it and her interview and their engagement. And she said, well, they've offered us a big flat in the palace, but I'm so cozy there. We cuddle up and it's so lovely. So what is it? She hated it or she loved it? This is what she does. She forgets what she tells you and then picks whichever side she feels like that day. But she grumbled it because it was small. It didn't have many bedrooms. But actually she loved it because they could cuddle up. But it was when she first arrived and she shared it with Harry. So they didn't have anything ready. Harry used it because he couldn't care less where he stood, like a lot of men. As long as they had a bedroom and go to sleep, they didn't care. But they were soon building. They spent £2 million on flats in the palace. And then she decided she didn't want to be there. She didn't want to be near Catherine and William. So, this poor me pops up, and it's actually not poor me. That's exactly what she wanted, and she wanted to wait until all the decoration was redone. But I think her and Diana is extremely nasty, because I think she does that to keep Harry to do what she wants him to do.
Very true, very true. Angela Levin, goodness me, they are certainly not in a good place, but it is fascinating when you see these tactics that were used during their time in the royal family, but so brilliant to talk, and you will be back later in the week. That is Angela Levin, our Royal Mastermind, and the biographer of Prince Harry and Queen Camilla. Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.